All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another beautiful day or night, whichever time you are watching this live broadcast with interviews with Keesha Carter. And tonight, for our Survivor series, I have a special guest, and I'm so honored to share her and her story with you. I have with us Catina Scott. Let me hear y'all say Catina Scott. Woo! So I thank you all so much for joining us tonight. If you've been following us, I have been interviewing several gynecologic cancer survivors so that you can learn more about what we have to go through or what we've gone through with our the type of cancers that we had, a treatment that we've had. And so tonight is another wonderful story by my friend Catina. And so if you've never met Catina before, tonight you get to have a special sneak peek into the life of Catina. She's the daughter of John and Alter, gosh, I thought I was gonna get it right. Okay, John and Alter Scott, and the youngest of 3 siblings. She is very passionate about the education of our youth and has been an educator in a Charlotte-Mecklenburg school district for 18 years, y'all. 18. Prior to that, Catina taught for 4 years at Clarendon County Schools in Somerton, South Carolina. In her 22 years of experience, she taught all grades, K through 5, before moving into a leadership position. Catina also served as a math facilitator. She also served as a math facilitator, literacy facilitator, and curriculum development coordinator. She currently is the Dean of Students and Instruction. She's currently the Dean of Students and Instruction at Westerly Hills Academy in her home of Charlotte, North Carolina. Catina enjoys traveling, reading, spending time with family and friends. She was diagnosed with leiomyosarcoma of the uterus on July 7, 2011. And after surgery and treatment, she has been cancer-free for the past 9 years. Y'all give it up for 9 years survivorship. Woo-woo! She is very blessed to have an abundance of supportive family and friends. This includes the Teal Diva Teal Rose Society, a group that has been an important part of the healing process. And I concur. I have been so blessed by the Teal Rose Society. So without further ado, y'all, let's get right on into my girl story. Yes, thank you for joining me tonight, Catina. I know you're such a busy woman, especially right now with all that's going on in the education field.
Right, yes. We're back in the schools tomorrow, so.
Yeah. I cannot imagine. I just got out of the school system for 15 years myself. And I'm now working with the big kids, grown adults, the seniors, the senior population. So, wow. I actually met you through the Teal Rose Society at the first retreat that Teal Diva did. Was that 2014, 15?
Yeah, I think it was 2015, maybe.
2015, I believe. And it's amazing how, like we always say, it's a club that we don't want to be a part of, but we're glad that we're part of. After being diagnosed with cancer, we have the opportunity to meet some phenomenal people, and you are truly one of those phenomenal people that I've met. And so I thank you for not being uncomfortable with letting others know what you've been through. So what were you diagnosed again with, and at what age were you diagnosed?
So I was diagnosed with leiomyosarcoma at the age of 38. And it's a kind of cancer that's normally found in muscle tissue,
Mm-hmm.
but mine was contained within a fibroid, and that's how they found it.
Okay. Wow. So, you had stage, what was it? Stage. Did I
They,
get the stage?
they didn't really stage it.
Okay.
Because of where it was found, they couldn't really stage it from the fibroid, but they knew
Oh,
it was very aggressive.
wow.
Yeah.
So, what was your treatment like? What kind of treatment did you have?
So I ended up having to have another surgery. You have to excuse me, my allergies are acting up, so I
No
may be
problem.
sniffling a little bit. But I ended up having to have another surgery, and after the surgery, I had chemo. I did, I think it was 5 months chemo, and then I did radiation afterwards.
Okay. So you had chemo, radiation. How did you find out about it? How did you know that you had cancer?
So, just doing one of my weekly, I mean, not weekly, my yearly annual visits with my
Mm-hmm.
OBGYN.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'd been having fibroids for years. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
it's hereditary because my mom had the same issues. And so there
Mm-hmm.
was one that was kind of a large size. She said it was about the size of a grapefruit. And
Man.
that, right. And so we talked about having it removed because it was
Mm-hmm.
that large. She was just a little bit concerned. So we
Mm-hmm.
had the fibroid removed. She did tell me that there was like a 1 out of 100 chance that it could be cancerous.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, they said anytime you had surgery that they removed something from you, they have to send it off to be analyzed.
Yeah.
So they found it out after the fibroids had been removed. They sent some of the tissue to be analyzed, and that's when they found out that it was cancer
Man. Wow.
after the surgery.
So so then you went into surgery. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me.
hmm
So, what were the symptoms like that you had before diagnosis?
I didn't really have very many symptoms that I knew of. I think the main thing was I had to urinate, kind of frequently. I got up like all throughout the night to use the bathroom, and also
Mhm.
my menstrual cycles were, they were really abnormal. Like, sometimes they'd be really long, sometimes really short.
Mhm.
So, but that had been happening for years, so I didn't even
Mhm.
think of that as an issue.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like a lot of times we pass things off
hmm
because of the similarities that they have with our cycles.
Yep,
You
yep,
know,
it's
so
true.
girls, go get checked. If you
Yes,
see something
definitely.
abnormal, we don't want to wait until the last minute and then things get out of hand. We want to nip it in the bud, find out what's going on. So I'm glad that you did, because I mean, we don't know how this story would have come, ended. So when you first learned about your diagnosis, what did that feel like? How did that make you feel?
So it was very shocking. I got a phone call from my gynecologist that evening.
Mm-hmm.
It was way after business hours. I had been going to her for years, so I knew her, whatever. And yeah, I mean, I know when I first heard, I was like shocked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, it was scary because because the first thing you think of is that you're gonna die or whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like those are the main two things. My parents, they had come up when I had the surgery to remove the fibroids. So they
Mm-hmm.
stayed with me for like a week or so. So the
Good.
day I found out, they had just gone home that day, I think, or either the day before.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I was alone when I heard the news. So that was
Wow.
kind of, yeah, hard too.
So I know you mentioned your parents. What was your support system like? Did you have a team of people around you during your treatment and stuff? What was that
Yes,
like?
yes. I had a very, very good support system. As a
Good.
matter of fact, my parents, of course, they both were retired during the time, so they were able to come back and forth, come up when I came out of
Good.
both surgeries because I had to have two surgeries. And they were able to be there for both and to support me. I had a really good circle of friends here in Charlotte. Also,
Good.
my coworkers, they were amazing. It
Wow.
helped a lot, as well as my church family. So, between my friends and family here in Charlotte and then my family in South Carolina, I feel like I had a very, very good support system.
That's awesome. And I mean, just a word of encouragement,
Mhm.
just I mean, 'cause some people like, I don't know what to say, what do I do? And it's different for everybody. Some people goes inward, they go inward, they become an introvert. Some people still want to keep the same lifestyle. They don't want you asking them questions, treat me
Mhm.
like you did before.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
it just varies with each person. So I think it's really important that we just ask the person, how do you feel about that? Ask the person that's in treatment or that's going through cancer, what
Mhm.
they want.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree. I know I try to be as positive as possible. And so, like, a lot of my friends would be like, well, I feel like I'm taking this harder than you are. They were
Yeah.
like, and I was just like, well, if I sit here and dwell on it, then I could be sad, or I could just continue to be positive, maybe help somebody else out. Because I'm usually at heart, I'm a positive person anyway. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like, I could just continue, I guess, to just be like an example for some other people.
Yeah, that's so good. And I'm glad that you have that mindset, because it's with the thought of um thinking forward,
Mm-hmm.
being positive and thinking about the future and not just focusing on what you're experiencing right now.
Right.
That helps you have a reason to keep going. So,
Mm-hmm.
and being positive is important with what you do every day, working with children,
Yes.
because just like with children, adults have the same experiences at home of
Mm-hmm.
sometimes where they're not in an environment where it's positive, where someone's encouraging them. So, being an administrator and educator, I know you've seen that with
Yeah.
children, but it's the same thing with us as adults going
Mm-hmm.
through treatment. You need that positive energy, that positive mindset. And so that's phenomenal. Did you have a history of cancer in your family? Like, is this something that you've seen in other family members?
Yes, actually, on
Mm-hmm.
my maternal grandmother
Mm-hmm.
and a maternal aunt, they both had breast
Mm-hmm.
cancer. And
Wow.
my dad had prostate cancer, and he survived prostate cancer, but he later, some years later, developed bladder
Mhm.
cancer. So he passed away from bladder cancer.
Oh man, wow, I'm sorry to hear that. Geez, so um how how long before that your family members went through it, that you went through it? Like, was it a
It was
gap?
Yeah, there was a quite a large gap. My aunt,
Okay.
I was very young when she passed away.
Mhm.
When my grandmother passed away, I think I might have been like 17 or 18. When
Mhm.
my dad, his first battle with cancer, I can't really remember, but I think I was an adult. I was like in my 20s, maybe
Okay.
30s, early 30s, late 20s. Um, and then, I went through my cancer, bout in my 30s, and my dad,
Mhm.
his cancer came back in a different place, and he passed away like in 2015. So,
Oh wow. So you were grown.
mm,
Did I'm just wondering, like, when you have family members who've gone through cancer, does that help to prepare you? Like, did it help to prepare you in any way, mentally, emotionally, spiritually?
it
Were there? Go
it
ahead.
did help. It did help somewhat because the first time with my dad, I was very involved, taking him back and forth to his treatments and those kinds of things. But
Mm-hmm.
they caught his rather early because, he did all his screenings and things like that. So,
Okay.
I mean, even though he had the treatment, it was a little different because, the treatment he had, he didn't lose his hair and that kind of stuff. He
Mm-hmm.
was, he would be kind of tired and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
but he was positive, like, throughout the whole time, even when we knew he was tired and things like that, like he, always kept going, always was positive. My family is, very much into the church. My dad was a deacon and those things. I was raised in the church. So, just like lots of prayer and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So, yeah.
So that helped to lay a foundation for you and your positivity, and I'm guessing your prayer life during your treatment and things of that
Yes,
nature.
definitely.
Awesome. So, you know, I've shared a little bit about how when I went through treatment, I wasn't working and
Mhm.
I didn't have like the finances saved up to help me pay bills and things like that. And I had some support from my church. Did you get offered any programs or services to help you with your treatment or costs or anything like that?
I did. I was really fortunate, as in, at the time I was working, but I had taken out some supplemental insurance, cancer
Okay.
insurance, or just for critical illness. So
Hmm.
that really was helpful, and that actually allowed me to be able to take a year off from school because I work with small kids and went through
Yes.
treatment, and I started my treatment like in August. So I was going well into the winter months. So you know
Hmm.
how that is with like the germs and things like that. So I was very
Hmm.
fortunate to be able to take that year off and just kind of focus on my health and healing. But so because I was still considered employed, there were a lot of and I was receiving a check because I got disability through my job. But so there were a lot of programs that I didn't qualify for because I had an income coming in. But
Hmm.
there were other things like, American Cancer Society, there were different things that they offered. My doctor also told me about the Buddy Kemp Cancer Center, which is another program that they had that offered lots of other great supplemental programs. And one of the other ones they told me about was Strides for Strength. It
Okay.
was through the hospital, and it was like an exercise program for people who are going through cancer treatment and or just coming out of treatment.
Hmm.
So I utilized that as well as help working with a nutritionist. So there were several things that were offered that I was able to take advantage of. Yes.
So, um, did you find that you did you have any obstacles that you had to face during treatment? And if so, how did you overcome those obstacles?
Well, like I said, thankfully, my treatment, it wasn't a very bad experience. My mom would
Mhm.
call me every morning before my treatment and pray with me. She would pray that I
Mhm.
would have no adverse side effects or things like that. And I actually didn't have any side effects until like around my very last treatment. Outside of just being tired, I didn't have any major side effects up until that time. But one of the main things I remember, one day I went in to have my blood work done.
Mhm.
I was always laughing and talking with the nurses. And so I noticed they were asking me like about how I was feeling. They were like, "You sure you're feeling okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Just talking and laughing. And then my
Mhm.
doctor came in and he was like, "Well, Katina, you should not be feeling as well as you do because
Wow.
it turned out like my blood count was very low. So I couldn't even have chemo that day. They ended up
Mhm.
having to give me a blood transfusion instead. So
Are you
I
serious?
Mhm. So I
Wow.
wanted, yes, because my blood was very low, and like, so I guess
Mm.
I want to share that experience, because that just goes to show you like how powerful prayer is, how powerful a positive attitude is.
Yes.
Because, like I said, I knew I was feeling tired, but
Mhm.
you know, but when the doctor said that, he was just like, you really shouldn't be feeling this good. So I just really,
Wow.
you know, give that up to, like, just like I said, the power of prayer, working with my mom, and those kinds of things. Yeah.
Her mom was like in tears, like it's touching because sometimes when people think about cancer, they only think about the bad parts of it, and there were so many joyful days that I had,
Right.
Especially when I go into the doctor and the technicians, even the people who park the cars, who
Yes.
met me, at the door. They were so joyful and encouraging and positive. So, those kinds of things help to make the experience not as dreadful as it could be.
Yes.
And, like you said, having that positive mindset, it takes you, it transcends you to a whole nother place. Can you imagine, like, if you were walking around, woe is me, and just being negative, what that experience would have been like for you, So yeah, I love to hear that mindset. I know, you know about my book, Love After Cancer.
Yes.
And I talk a lot about mindset in there because somebody told me, a great deal of healing has to do with your mindset. And that's what I want people to get from that book. I want people to get from these survivor stories that you don't have to think of the worst of the whole situation. Can it happen? Absolutely. It can happen to us at any moment of any day.
Yes.
As far as us, passing away. But we could focus on some other things. Let's focus on life. Let's focus on healing. Let's focus on what can we accomplish today that can help somebody else or that can take our life to another level. So thank you for sharing that. Now, how many years has it been? It's been since 2011 that you went through treatment. And so that's what, 9 years?
Yeah.
9 years that we said. So for the last 9 years, what has life after cancer been for you?
So it's I think it's been good. I think that that experience actually taught me that I'm a lot stronger than what I thought. And it also, it causes you to look at the world a little differently, because I think about people who I met when I was during that journey, and there are several of them that aren't here today, and that had a very much worse time of it than I did.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of them who I think about their spirit even down to the end, that they were just always so positive, just so I feel like meeting these women, it really helped to kind of make me think, like, now, like, I'm so blessed, I'm so lucky. And I always would say that I wanted to be more involved in, like, different programs and things like that. But I always let life get in between. But,
yeah.
But I definitely feel like I want to get more involved. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I was given a second chance, and that I really want to do more with that chance. I feel like I kind of went on with my life wanting to be back to normal, and wanting to, I don't want to say forget about that, but just kind of move past it. But what I need to realize is that it's always going to be a part of my life.
Yeah.
I said, my dad, then we come back around, my dad passed away again from cancer. So it's like, it always keeps popping up. So I feel like, just living life to the fullest, just being thankful, and, making sure I'm spending time with family and friends. And
yes, it's like your whole view on life changes.
Yeah.
Well, I would say most people, I can't say for all, but the people that I've met, life has changed. I mean, for me, it was like a whole 180-degree turn,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know? So that's,
Same for me.
yeah. And when you think about life after cancer and you moving on and trying to be normal, what does that look like?
Right,
Some people want
right,
you to be normal again. It's like family think, okay, you're done with treatment, but my
right.
body is not the same anymore. It's like
Right.
I've been through something traumatic, and so yeah. So what do you wish that they told you before, during, or after treatment or cancer diagnosis? What do you wish?
Um, I have to say that I feel like I went into it all very well informed, from start even with my OBGYN to when I first my very first appointment with my oncologist. I feel like they spelled everything out for me. Like they laid out like the whole path. They even told me about possible issues along the way with treatment and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They kept me updated with. There was a lady who had the exact same cancer that I had, and she was like 3 weeks ahead of me in treatment. So that also helped them to give me valuable information, like if they noticed that she was, having trouble with her skin, like keeping the skin moisturized or whatever. And so then they were able to tell me when you need to start right away, making sure you're staying moisturized and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So yeah. So I
that's
think
good.
I really feel like there's not anything I wish I had known
Mhm.
before because, like I said, I feel like I was very, very, very prepared.
They kept you in the loop, and they prepared you about what to expect.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was really funny because the whole time I went through treatment, like I said, no major side effects. And I think right
Mhm.
after my very last treatment, and my doctor had said that, it's possible you can lose your fingernails and your toenails,
Wow.
your eyelashes and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through all the treatment, no issues. And then, like, right after my final treatment, when I was able to get my first pedicure, one of my toenails came off. And I kind of had to laugh because I was like, if that's if that's the
Wow.
worst, if that's the worst of what I had to go through, then I'm okay with
Yeah, and see, I mean, you've been truly blessed with
it.
not having a whole lot of side effects.
Yes.
And going through, like, I know everybody can't say that, but for someone who's watching, thinking the worst, it doesn't always, every situation's different. It may not even be like that for you. My hair didn't come out with the type of treatment that I had, and I went in ready to cut my hair off. I was like,
Right.
oh, I'm gonna go and get my hair cut off. She was like, you don't have to do that, and I'm like, really? Why not? She was like, your hair is not gonna come out. I'm like, really? I didn't know
Right.
that. I thought everybody who got cancer treatments, their hair came out.
Right.
So, it's everybody's situation is different. So, based on what you said, you wish you could do more in the cancer community. Have you started doing more in the cancer community, and in what
Um,
capacity?
so this is kind of like, um, I guess this interview is part of like my second step out. I did participate in one of our reunions of for all the retreats that we've attended. I participated in that. I did the Flock the Yard this year. Um,
Go ahead.
yeah. So, I'm trying to ease back into things. I normally do, well, I know they had a 5K that they did like in the spring. And I normally do that. I'm not sure if they're going to have it this spring and things like that. So, I participated here and there, but I want to be, just like a lot more active where I'm not just attending an event here or there, but that I'm helping, to prepare for the events and plan for the events, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, have your hands to the ground, boots to the ground, hands
Oh,
involved.
I forgot about this. I also did participate in the Survivors Teaching Students program.
Okay, tell
So
us about that.
So it was a program for interns,
Mm,
oncology interns, just to kind of give them like a more human view of cancer
mhm.
patients, and just so they'll be able to treat them with compassion, giving them like
Mhm.
ideas of how we would like to hear our diagnosis, of different doctors' bedside manners. I
Yes.
know there was one person that I met in the group, and they were like, it was like their doctor just came into the room and just like, okay, you have cancer, and it was just like, what a way to, to give someone that diagnosis. So
Yeah.
I feel like that program is very, very important
Yes.
because after I feel like, especially for those just coming into medicine, because if you don't have that compassion piece, like I think even the tone of your doctor is very important to your treatment. And if you don't feel like you have like that compassion,
Yes.
that feeling from your doctor, like it's hard for you to have that same optimism if you're not receiving
Hmm.
it from those that are giving you the care.
Yeah. That bedside manner is important.
Yes, very, very.
Yeah.
That program, I really enjoyed doing that because, like I said, I felt like I was really helping, future survivors, be treated in a way that they would want to be treated.
And I love that program because, like you said, they get to have that human connection.
Hmm.
It takes them beyond the textbook, and they get to see, these are some of the people that we could possibly treat, and this
Right.
is how they feel, and
Exactly.
this is what I would think that anybody in the medical field would want to have, an experience
Yes.
that they should want to have, that one-on-one connection
Hmm.
and going beyond the textbook. So yeah, I love that program. Survivors teaching students.
Yep.
So if you haven't heard about it, y'all look it up because it's a good program.
Hmm.
And so um from I know all of the people that I know that participate in that program are ovarian cancer survivors. So
Hmm.
that's something, that I'm not sure. That's something that I actually need to look into if they have it for any other programs for cervical. I know I haven't been aware of survivors teaching students for cervical cancer. So if you're out there and you have ovarian cancer, look it up. You might be able
Yeah.
to go and teach some students. So if you could share a message with the community or to women who are apprehensive about going to the doctor, what would you tell them?
Um, I would tell them that you definitely need to go. Like, even if you feel like you have one symptom, because catching it in time, that is the key for your treatment.
Yes.
Catching it early so you can go ahead and get a treatment plan. So I would just say, like, make sure you're getting your yearly exams. If there's something doesn't feel right about your body, you know your body. Listen to your
Yes.
body and advocate for your health and yourself.
Hmm. That's good. That's good. That's one, excuse me, that's one of the most important things that I think, if out of all of the women that I've talked to that have had cancer, they want that message driven home. Advocate for yourself. You know, look into what's going on with your body. You
Yes. Mhm.
right. So now if you have one word or phrase that you would like to share to encourage women who are currently in treatment or who have faced roadblocks in their process, what would you tell them?
Um, I would just say faith. Just have faith in yourself, faith in God, just faith. That's just important.
Mm-hmm. And in faith, for me, like what would you say for someone? who's not had that experience before, like how would they activate their faith?
I think the best way is, like I said, first by staying positive. And then, just like second, because that positive thinking, and just believing in your healing. Like basically picture what it is that you want. And, of course, you want to be healed. You want to make it through. And like actually see yourself doing that. See yourself reaching that finish line. And I think that is like the whole definition of like having faith is like, picturing like what it is that you want and just believing that it can be achieved.
I love that. That visualization, seeing yourself there already, believing in your healing. That's so powerful. So, with Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom, we bring awareness through the creative arts, and we have some workshops, and you actually attended my first workshop ever at the Till Diva retreat. And oh my gosh, it has changed so much. And, I've grown a lot through that, through over the years. What do you feel that you do to express yourself in a creative way? How do you express yourself creatively?
Well, lots of different ways. I do like to write things. I think we talked before about like, I like the poetry, kind of like spoken word kind of stuff. Like I really enjoyed that workshop because, it was like we had to find a creative way to present our story or whatnot. Yeah. And I actually I think I told you, I still have that notebook that we had to write it. And I actually still have the original thing that I wrote. But the interesting thing, at my church, every year in October, they have a cancer program where they celebrate, the survivors and those who have gone on, just by uplifting them all, right? And so each year they have a different speaker. And so they asked me to speak one year, to share my story and whatnot. And so I actually used the basis from the workshop, my spoken word piece. I actually used that as the basis of my talk. So I kind of feel like that, just being able to express yourself in that way, I think it was really helpful. I also play a few instruments, although it's been a while. It's been a while, so I'm very, very, very out of practice. But I played the clarinet in the band for like 3 years, and I also took piano lessons when I was younger.
Oh, I gotta hear you. I gotta hear you play those instruments. I would love to hear what you wrote. We lost the footage from that retreat. So if you would be open to sharing it again, I would absolutely love to hear what you wrote.
Yes, I would. You want to hear it now?
Hey, I'm down. If you want to share it now, I would love that.
I do have it. It's so I just got my house painted this weekend. So stuff is kind of everywhere.
Okay.
But I'll be willing to do a follow-up, or if you want me just to do something separate just to perform that, I can.
Yay! So we're gonna talk offline about that. I would love to hear what you wrote. And so thank you so much for doing that, because I go back to, my first workshop. Oh my gosh, I was terrified. I was so nervous. And actually my book, Love After Cancer, I don't know if you read it or not, but Love After Cancer actually is a compilation of the things that I've written while, every time I do a workshop, I also write something myself. And so people kept saying, you need to put it in a book. You need to put it in a book. And I was like, no. So yeah, that's partly how the book came about. You said you
Okay.
did get a chance to read it?
No, I didn't.
No,
I did. We were
okay.
speaking about it before. I was saying I need to get a copy from you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would
Okay.
love to know your feedback when you do, and what you think about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Buddy Camp Cancer Support Center earlier. So I know there are a lot of different programs that they have for cancer survivors. I didn't actually go through them.
Mm-hmm.
I live an hour away, and with me not driving, I made up every excuse, but that was the main reason why
Right.
I was uncomfortable. Honestly, I
Mm-hmm.
was very uncomfortable with connecting with people that I didn't know, and
Mm-hmm.
not it was not until I started connecting with people I didn't know, being nominated for the fashion show and the calendar and things like that through Novant. But I started learning more about Buddy Camp,
Mm-hmm.
and I love their programs and what they've done for cancer survivors and their families. What was your
Yes.
experience like?
So, I think initially when I went there, I just kind of went to, check the place out. I know they had a business center, so there was like a lot of documents and things you had to print
Yes.
out and fax off. So I originally went there, to utilize that.
Mhm.
And then I heard about like the group support groups that they had, and also they had individual counseling. And kind of like you, I wasn't very comfortable with the support groups, and I think
Mhm.
um, mainly because I felt like I had enough support from family and friends and people that I
Mhm.
knew, but also a part of me felt a little guilty because I went to
Mhm.
one of the support group meetings. And then, like, because, like I said, I was blessed. I did not have the side effects that a lot of people were having. So I
Mhm.
almost felt guilty hearing people tell their story
Yeah.
and telling about like the things they were going through and the fact that, I hadn't experienced it in that way.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
it's
That
kind of
survivor's
hard.
guilt is real.
Yes, yes, because it's kind of
Mhm.
hard when someone is, sharing their story and all their pain, and you're just like,
Yeah.
you know, I I can't relate to that, so
Yeah. I know exactly how you feel. And it's when I think about, even though I felt like I went through, at the moment it felt very traumatizing, but
Mhm.
then I've heard some stories that trump
Yes,
what I
yes.
experienced. Oh my gosh. So I get it, and I feel like that's something that we don't talk enough about in the cancer
Mhm.
community. Survivor's guilt,
Yeah.
PTSD, post traumatic syndrome.
Oh,
We have
yeah.
been through something traumatic. Um,
Exactly.
we haven't talked much about even sex after cancer. I mean, I hear about it, but it's like people get uncomfortable. They're married
Yes. Yeah.
and are uncomfortable with having those conversations, and um even about depression, anxiety. I had so much anxiety during treatment, but let's talk about what happened after treatment.
Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
Because
this is partly why I am doing the Survivor series, because hopefully it will start us with more having more conversations about things that we need to talk about, things that we um have experienced, and things that people know about,
mhm,
chemo, radiation. Okay, yeah, I know about that. But let's talk about some stuff that people don't know about, that we've
right.
gone through.
Mhm.
So it is so imperative, in my opinion, that as many people that are comfortable to share their stories, that they do. And that's
Yeah.
why, during my workshops, that's what I encourage.
Mhm,
If you can
mhm.
see behind me, it says encourage healings, SCNW, Serenity Encouraging Wisdom, encourage healing. We want to encourage the
Mhm.
healing through the creative arts, and sharing your story is one of the most, um, to me, is one of the easiest ways to help with the healing process, because the more that you share, the easier that it gets. And you get to hear feedback from others that say, hey, I went through that too, and I experienced that too, and I felt like that too. And so you don't feel so isolated and alone. You know, I think about that time when we went on that retreat. You bless you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I have allergies, so I know they're a pain.
Yes.
You were in the car, bless you. You were in the car with me too, right? Because we drove up there together, and I think I was sick going there too.
I think you
sick,
were. Yeah.
I wasn't feeling good, but just being in the atmosphere with ladies who understood me was so weird, because you know, they understood my nausea, they understood, you know, me being tired or whatever. It's like we rallied around the people who didn't feel good, and those are things that I, you know, outside, in addition to family support, in addition to, you know, the support that you get from the doctors, the nurses, the technicians, and things like that, having a sister who's gone through a gynecologic cancer, that knows, they get it, they born the same size shoe that you born, they know what it feels like, they know how tight that shoe is, and they know how you know, the more they stand, the more it hurts. They get it, they feel it, they understand it. And so I hope that tonight's talk with Catina Scott will encourage someone else not only to share their story, but to go to the doctor, like she said, and get checked out, advocating for themselves, and having that vision, seeing themselves beyond their circumstance, building up that faith to take their life to a whole nother level. So thank you so much, Catina. If you're watching this and you want to see more, you want to see our previous videos, survivor stories, please visit our website, Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom. It's SCAWINC.org, and you can see the link listed in the comment section of this video. Also, we would love for you to connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to share your story, just inbox us, send us a message, and we would love to share your story, because we speak against cancer. We know how imperative and how important it is for us to not stop talking about it, because we never know whose life we're going to change. And in the process, we get to improve our own lives because of it. So thanks again, Catina. Miss Dean Scott. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope that even your children that you go to work with, that they are inspired by you, because you were bold enough to say, you know, I speak against cancer. I'm going to share my story. Y'all have a good night.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Keesha.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Right. This is the first, but not the last.
Definitely. Okay. Bye-bye.